I want to talk about the suicide rates we've been hearing about with the armor units. We hear they're significantly higher than the other specialties. Some thoughts are it's because of the high ops tempo and the rotating deployments to Poland. What is your assessment of why the suicide rates are significantly higher for armor personnel?
Congressman, we are looking into that because we want to better understand it. Our data shows actually that the suicide rates are higher actually in our Stryker units. They're higher generally in Stryker, armored, and light infantry. So it's not just the armor folks, and I'm not even sure that the armored units are having the highest rates, but we want to understand what's happening there. I do worry about the op tempo for those units. And one of the things that we are going to do and are already doing for a number of reasons, but to include trying to make sure we're reducing pressure on those soldiers, is lengthening the windows in rearm. You know, we had said that basically they would have 8 months to deploy, 8 months to come back and do modernization. And we found that in reality, they just can't move that fast. So we're going to lengthen those windows to give them more time. But we're going to look further into that because we obviously want to prevent suicides everywhere we possibly can.
You're right, I have just one source, so maybe that data isn't right, but it was concerning to read.
It's absolutely concerning, and and we share that, and I'd be happy to follow up with you and have our folks talk in more about the data that we have.
Is there any thought about permanent basing in Poland?
I think, there are pros and cons associated with permanent basing. It's going to be overseas military construction. We would want to build schools and the kinds of amenities that our families would need. Certainly that would have some benefits in terms of operational tempo, and I think the Poles, I'm sure, would be very interested in hosting us in a permanent way. But I think, we'll continue to look at those kinds of issues as we look at force posture in Europe going forward.
Okay, can I mention just one thing, Congressman?
Yes, sir.
The other thing we've done is made an adjustment on this. For example, we had an ABCT that was rotating to Korea. It's now a Stryker unit that's doing that. And I think the other thing, in looking, agree with the Secretary, I think that the challenge would be on anything permanent basing. It'd be like, okay, where's it going to come from? What unit is it going to come from stateside? And so right now we have flexibility, I think, with deploying our units that helps. And there's probably other things that we need to grow right now if we're going to grow a new unit like air defense artillery or counter UAS batteries or some of those other capabilities.
Thank you. Turning to barracks, I appreciate your plan for increasing your spending and trying to repair the damage that's been done over the last decade. And you've already addressed this, so I won't drill into that so much. But I am curious, how did we get there? Because when I was the commander at Ramstein in 2008-9, I was commander at Offutt 2011-12, I had 4-star generals inspecting the dorms, and if they would have been bad, I would have got fired. So I'm trying to figure out what happened in Army, but it seems to be in all the services where we let the standards decrease to the level we did. Because I'm just trying to understand it. Any thoughts on that?
Congressman, my view is there are a lot of factors at play. It's a little bit like recruiting. A lot of things went into it. We didn't kind of get into the crisis overnight. And I think it's a little bit the same with barracks. Part of it is, we have an enormous inventory. We have the biggest inventory of barracks of any service. A lot of our barracks are in places where we're experiencing climate change and the temperature is increasing, the humidity is increasing, and all of that makes maintaining barracks more complicated. Some of it, frankly, I'm sad to say, is the harvest of sequestration, if you will. We went in and we basically cut lots of folks out of our departments of public works all across installations all across the country, and that meant we had fewer people overseeing the barracks. And some of it is, I think, the Army has always struggled to find enough to invest in barracks and do modernization and other things. So I think there's a lot of things that went into it, but we are very committed now to doing everything we can to get out of it.
Thank you. With 30 seconds left, I'll yield the remainder of my time back.